Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my amazing, talented co-host and producer, Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's up, Shawn?
How are you this fine day?
Today, I am stoktastic.
Stoktastic. Tell me about it.
I am fantastically stoked today.
Stoked. I haven't heard that one since Point Break. right?
I'm old school.
Keanu Reeves. Whoa. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Everybody, we've got an amazing show lined up for you guys today.
Yeah, we do.
A really good friend of mine, honored to say, is in the house. And man, if anybody is totally rocking the world, especially in the podcast medium, this is the guy. And today, this is really important because I want you guys to be able to achieve your goals this year. You know, I'm really, really passionate about that. Because I can't do this stuff by myself.
And we can't do it for you.
I need you guys out there executing and doing your thing and living your life to the fullest and being the representation of all this stuff and really being the model for other people and other people in your lives as well. And so this is what this show is going to be about today, because this is the beginning of the new year. You know, a lot of people get the resolutions to change and to do stuff. But, you know, I just heard from a good friend of mine, Aaron Walker, and him talking about the fact that, you know, having these goals is a wonderful thing, but motivation is only going to get you so far. Motivation wears off, and we all know this. But what doesn't wear off is having an actionable plan. So once we get that goal locked in, having that actionable plan is sort of like just kind of putting one foot in front of the other. You know, it's like getting up and brushing your teeth. You know, it just becomes something you do, and all of a sudden, here you are at your goal. And it wasn't a matter of motivation. It was a matter of execution and having a smart plan.
That's right.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and the most incredible person to be able to share his knowledge with you. But first, let's give a huge shout out to our show sponsor, Onnit.com.
Those guys.
Head over to onnit.com/model. You're going to get 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. Just had my krill oil this morning with my breakfast, with my brekkie.
You do look a little krilly vibrant.
Whatever that is. But you got to get your DHA, guys. You got to get your DHA, your essential fatty acids, the omega-3s in particular. Those are the anti-inflammatory fatty acids, where our diet today and just being exposed to stress, period, is more pro-inflammatory. A lot of omega-6 fatty acids are getting in through our diet. So we got to balance that stuff out. This is critical for your brain function, the health of your nerves. You know, people getting on my nerves. So to help to buffer that, you know, buffer stress, and just seriously to the membrane of all of your cells, you know, so really just keeping your cells intact and keeping them working properly, you've got to have these omega-3s. So this is why it's so important. Love that product, the krill oil, the Shroom Tech Sports, Shroom Tech Immune, so many great things. Head over, check them out, onnit.com/model for 10% off. Now let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
All right. This one, this poor person, it says they're truly addicted. That's a good thing. Model Health Show Junkie is their name. I'm a 21-year-old college student, and I commute over an hour to get where I need to be. I am so thankful to have listened to all of your episodes over the past few months during my commute. I can't imagine listening to the radio ever again. It just won't be the same without the feeling of having you two in the car with me, making me smile and laugh. I found your podcast when you were interviewed on Steph's Harder to Kill radio. I knew instantly from listening to your perspective that I had to check out your show. I have to say the quality of information and that you and Jade share is amazing. Every point you make and each tip you offer is carefully thought out. You give so much support from personal experience and scientific evidence that it is undoubtedly important to take it all in. The best part is you've proven to me why everything I've been doing has worked. I came from years of hating my body, but through my own research and trial and error, I was able to lose 25 pounds and gain strength and happiness. I realized a long time ago that gluten-free wasn't enough and that chronic cardio wasn't the answer. Thanks to your podcast, I get way more sleep than the average 21-year-old. I'm the least stressed out student I know and feel better than I ever thought was possible. The information is also so relatable that I reference your podcast all the time. I never find myself without an inspirational tip to share with someone. You've transformed my life and gave me the facts to share with others. Now I help them understand why they should shift their mindset, why they should shift their mindset about real food, stress, exercise, and sleep too. Thanks to you, even my family, my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's family are all thriving and moving toward a better quality of life. I will continue to share this podcast whenever I can because I believe the power behind it is limitless. Knowing how your body works and wrapping it all up in the most perfect package with relatable stories, movie references, and heartfelt memories is the perfect way to deliver such a genuine message. Thank you both for caring so much. I am truly addicted.
Wow. First of all, I want to say I love you. I absolutely love you.
Yes,
Thank you
do.
so much for sharing that.
Yeah, 21.
And yes, and making us a part of your life right now. You mean you're taking quantum leaps already, as compared to what's going on in society right now. And already it's clear that you're a leader.
Yeah.
So lots of love just sending out to you, and much more good stuff to come.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive into our special guest and our topic of the day.
Super special.
Today we have on the man, the myth, the real legend, John Lee Dumas, and he's a good friend of mine and one of the most incredible people I've gotten to know. And just to give a little bit about him, he's been on a past show, guys, so we'll put that in the show notes, and it gives the story, the superhero origin story of John Lee Dumas. But just 3 years ago, John set out to start a podcast with no audience to speak of and no experience behind the microphone. He wanted to reach hundreds of thousands of people worldwide and provide them with a resource they've never seen before, a 7-day-a-week podcast that interviews major movers and shakers in the entrepreneurial space. To go from 0 to 7 days a week would take a miracle, but by putting his carefully constructed plan into action, John was able to create one of the most downloaded shows in podcast history, received the coveted Best of iTunes Award in 2013, and built his business to over $7 million in revenue, and is just growing like wildfire. Today, he's here to share some of his best secrets with you to help you get from idea to seeing the real, tangible results in your life. Whether it's in your career, health, or anything else, you can make some amazing things happen, but it starts with having the right plan. I'd like to welcome to the Model Health Show again, my friend John Lee Dumas. How you doing today, man?
Shawn, Jade, I could not be more excited to be here. I am prepared to ignite.
I
my
love that.
guy, my
Are
guy.
you ready to ignite?
Man,
I
John,
love
wow.
that.
I mean, so many things. I mean, just even spending time with you and getting to know you as a friend, man. I mean, you're just one of the most incredible people doing it. And before we even start, just want to say nobody deserves as much success as you have right now, man. So just lots of love to you, bro.
Back at you, Shawn. Thank you.
So here's the thing, guys. And if you're checking out the video, themodelhealthshow.com, you can head over and check out the video of this episode. I'm holding right here in my hand the Freedom Journal. The Freedom Journal. This is the most amazing, beautiful thing that I have had my hands on thus far this year, as far as books are concerned.
I was gonna say,
because I've had my hands on some other stuff. But this says it's the Freedom Journal. Accomplish your goal in 100 days. And by the way, John, I didn't share this with you yet, but my book actually comes out. The book launch week is 100 days from this point, from today.
What?
Wow.
So I'm going to be putting this in play big time. And I'm curious, man, what really prompted you to create this Freedom Journal?
Well, one thing I want to be very clear about is I would be giving the same answer on any other podcast or radio show. So I'm not giving this answer just because I'm on the Model Health Show, but it might sound like it because I need to do a little rewind to January of 2015. And it was actually just about the month before the end of 2014. So right into 2015. I invested in myself, in Shawn Stevenson, and had him as my personal mentor for 3 amazing months. And so he came out to my home in San Diego. We spent an amazing weekend together. He got to meet Kate, Kate's family. He got to see where I lived. He actually stayed in my home. We had to spend an amazing weekend. He took me to the gym, shopping, like all the things that I needed in my life. So, just a huge props to you, Shawn, and to what you do individually for one-on-one clients is absolutely outstanding. And what that did was that started my 2015 on the right note. So here we are, January 2015. Shawn Stevenson is my mentor. He's given me that plan. I have it. Now I'm ready to conquer the world because I have endless amounts of energy and abundance and all of this. So I had this idea, this aha moment. And I said, hey, I get asked the question all the time from listeners of EO Fire, from my loving Fire Nation.
Yeah.
They say, like, John, like, how do you look at your actual guests that you have on and listen to them and just not be inspired every single day? And I said, well, number one, I am. And then they always follow up and say, well, what is like their secret sauce to success? What's their magic bullet? And I kind of always got a little frustrated with that question because the real answer is always hard work. I mean, Shawn Stevenson, Jade, all of my past guests of EO Fire, They work hard, guys. That's what they do. And so that is an essential ingredient. But kind of stepping back a little bit more, Shawn, I realized that it was so obvious to me that all of my guests of EO Fire, over 1,200 now, are successful and inspiring entrepreneurs because they know how to set and accomplish goals. And my listeners who struggle don't know how to do that effectively. So again, with just a renewed energy and purpose, 2015 was going to be my oyster. I spent the entire year deciding to create my first physical product, which has now turned out to be the Freedom Journal. Set and accomplish your #1 goal in 100 days. And Shawn, I sourced the materials, the design, the illustrations. I sent a team out to China to make sure the manufacturing was going perfectly. And they sent sample after sample till I got the perfect Freedom Journal that you can be proud to have on your desk, on your nightstand, and you can be ready to set and accomplish your #1 goal in 100 days.
Yes. Oh man. Well, dude, just there's so much there.
Yes.
But just also thank you, of course, for allowing me to be a part of this story and this process. But what's come out of this is absolutely amazing. And I think it's essential because, like you said, you know, hard work that should be a given, you know, but you're not going to actually put that hard work into something that's going to create tangible results to accomplish that goal if you don't have the right strategy. You know, you could just be working really hard at running your head into a wall, you know, and being great at that. Right. I'll just get me a new helmet and I'm going to keep banging away at this wall, you know, but he's really opening up the doors and showing you this is somebody who's experienced this and seen this firsthand with 1,200 different entrepreneurs. And this isn't just for people that are doing an entrepreneurial venture. This is for any goal in your life. And I can say that firsthand because after I started going through this stuff, and by the way, in our last episode, John, I didn't tell you this, but I talked about how I did a little experiment a few years ago called 100 Goals in 100 Days. All right. So It wasn't just one goal, but here's the thing. And by the way, so I hit about 40% of those goals, which is insane. Yeah. And there was a certain action step behind. So first of all, is getting the goal down out of your head and being honest about what you want. But here's the thing that I didn't share. My biggest goal, I did not hit. The mother lode thing that I really wanted. And it's actually come to fruition now. But if I would have just focused on that one thing that would have made the biggest difference in my life, and that's what you're really driving people to do with this, is so amazing. And I want to thank you for that. But I'm curious, why did you call it the Freedom Journal in the first place?
Great question. And just to kind of go back to what you said about that one goal, Shawn, it's then a domino effect. You started now that domino and everything will follow afterwards. So I spent a lot of time coming up with the name of this project that I was going to be on. And for me, again, having interviewed thousands of successful entrepreneurs, I love to dig down into what really motivates them. And, you know, we have all these 1, 2, and 3 levels, which are incredibly important and amazing, you know, family, loved ones, kids, whatever those might be. But if you really keep digging down all the way until there's like nothing left, it's kind of usually that 6th or 7th level, the answer is always freedom. Because the reality is once you have freedom, everything above that you want comes in. Yes, if you have freedom, then you can spend more time with your family. If you have freedom, then you can pursue things that you love. So it really always comes down to freedom. And so what I wanted to do was unlock people's opportunity to acquire that freedom. And so for me, it was just a very obvious segue into the Freedom Journal. Because if you do set and accomplish that #1 goal in 100 days, then you are on that path to freedom. And I love that idea of the 100 goals in 100 days. I think that's cool. Something I actually might try in the future as an experiment. It sounds fun. But I think that does kind of also underline a problem that we have as a culture, is that everywhere there's this bright, shiny object syndrome. There's these weapons of mass distraction around every single corner. And so it feels like we're getting stuff done every day because we're checking our emails, we're going on social media, doing an Instagram photo, and those are all good things. But then 6 months goes by and you're like, well, I've been doing all these things and nothing's really changed in my business bottom line. Like the revenue's not coming in, this and that. And that's why in my business, I focus on Pareto's principle, where 20% of my actions result in 80% of my overall results that I'm looking for. That's why, when I'm going around with the Freedom Journal for this campaign, I know that being on big podcasts is an amazing use of my time. So like I reached out to you, Shawn. I saw what was going to be very effective in this, my 20%, and I didn't worry about the other 80% of things that so many people spend their time doing. I just focus on that 20%. So with the Freedom Journal, I say, hey, you have a big goal. Maybe it's losing 25 pounds. Maybe it's actually launching that business. Maybe it's, spending more time with your kids every single day. Whatever that number one goal is, I teach you how to set a SMART goal at the very beginning. And that's kind of where I really wanted people to start, because Shawn, I'm sure you see this all the time, specifically in your business. And this is an example that I use a lot when I'm talking about the Freedom Journal is, hey, I want to lose weight. Okay, that's a good goal to have hypothetically, but people never accomplish that goal because there's no parameters around it. So with the Freedom Journal, we start minute one, the first page, by teaching you how to set a SMART goal. That's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. So, okay, you want to lose weight? Okay, that is specific. You want to lose weight. But is it measurable? No. So what do you want to lose? 10 pounds. Okay. Is it attainable in the next 100 days? Yeah, that is attainable. You can go to Shawn's website and other great websites. You can see that if you are of certain size, sex, shape, you can lose 10 pounds healthily in 100 days. Now, is it relevant? Well, yes, if you want to lose weight because you're looking for more energy to spend more time with your kids, because you can run around with them, because you want to look better for that, 10-year high school reunion, that's relevant. Now, is it time bound? And that's where the Freedom Journal comes in. Yeah. You have 100 days, buddy, whether you like it or not. So it has to be, Shawn, that SMART goal.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. SMART. That acronym is so wonderful. And it's just layered throughout the journal as well. And this brings up a couple of questions for me. This time of year. Well, first, let me say something. I've seen this over and over again, and it's been one of the greatest strategies in my life day to day is like Brian Tracy's saying of eat the frog. So every day I get up and I do the most important thing that's going to have the biggest impact on everything else in my life. I do that first. And he calls it eat the frog because it's like, after you eat the frog, the rest of the day is like downhill from there. It's coasting after that. So go ahead and eat that frog. But you giving that example, and I love that you brought that up, of the bright, shiny object syndrome, and doing 40 different goals instead of the one thing that's going to trickle down and create the most amazing effect if I just do that one thing. And there was a book, it's called Essentialism, and this was recommended by your amazing better half, Kate Erickson, and my wife picked it up. And it just changed her paradigm, and she brought to the forefront of, we have this concept in our lexicon in our society of priorities. The real root of the word is priority. What is your number one priority? Or maybe 2 or 3, but instead we've got 20. Easy. So once you pin down that one thing that's going to have the biggest dramatic effect in your life, and you focus on that one thing to completion, it's a game changer. So this time of year, John, we've got resolutions happening left and right. What do you think about resolutions versus what you're trying to do right now with the Freedom Journal?
So with resolutions, I think one of the things that's kind of got a little watered out about resolutions is that because everybody is making them around this time, nobody is holding each other accountable. And to me, that is the key and the critical portion of the Freedom Journal. And Shawn, that's why I spent months in thousands of dollars sending a team to China, having them, actually ship back different samples until I really got the right Freedom Journal, because I knew that it had to be a physical product. I knew that it had to be something that people could be proud to have on their desk, on their nightstand, take out at a Starbucks or wherever they are, because they had to be proud of it, because when it's there and it's out, they're making, number one, a statement of themselves. Hey, this person has they have something going on. This is a legit, book that they have right here. What does that mean? And number two, it's there staring you in the face. It's your accountability partner that's not going to let you fail. And that's what I see with the resolutions, unfortunately, a lot is that, everybody's like, okay, it's January 2nd. I just got over my hangover right now. Like, I'm not going to drink for the next month. And the buddy's like, oh yeah, me too. And like, that's like their resolution. But then there's nobody really holding them accountable. The game comes on the next Sunday and they're hanging out, eating chicken wings and buffalo wings and drinking beer. And that just happens. So the accountability factor is really missing with the resolutions because they're so easy to say, but really just there's nothing holding you to that. So I wanted to change that with this Freedom Journal with 100 days of accountability.
I love it. And it's shiny. So it all
it's
works.
shiny. It's gold embossed,
It's
gold leaf. It has a
beautiful.
gold tassel bookmark.
Let me touch
Man,
it.
here you go, Jay. There you go.
Ooh. Well,
And
I'm a girly.
I just watched Shawn hand it to Jade.
To touch.
That's
I saw
that's
the
called
preview
freedom,
you had sent
Jay.
to all of the subscribers, and so I am a subscriber as well, and so I could not wait for the launch of this. I mean, literally, just the idea of it set into motion an intention that changed things for me as well. So it will actually be solidified when I get my copy, but it really did kick into play the idea of doing this, and some things have already begun.
All right, now give me
Jade,
back
I'm
my
going to
freedom.
send you an advance copy.
I'm so with it.
Wait, before Jay gives it back, Jay, smell it real quick.
Oh, good.
What does it smell like?
It smells good. It smells brand
Smells
new.
like
It smells fresh.
freedom.
It does.
I just gave you a softball, girl.
Oh my gosh, I am so there. Wait. No, I'm just playing.
So this
Love it.
This is amazing piece of
Beautiful.
art, but at the same time, like you said, it makes a statement, and it's just this accountability. And it's so funny how certain things just psychologically make you want to do something, and that accountability, like I feel it. Like as soon as I cracked it open, I'm like, I have to start filling this out and participating in it.
And keep
So,
it with you. And stay with it.
Let's talk a little bit more about this subject, John, because this year, so many amazing things can happen for every single person listening right now. You can change the game. You could change your world, and you can change the world at large. And it starts by setting a real tangible goal and allowing yourself to actually want what you really want. So let's talk about, and I want to hear from your perspective, why does setting a goal even matter in the first place?
So picture taking off from San Diego airport and, you want to land in New York City. Like that's like what your flight manifest has. So you take out of San Diego, you're in the air. Well, guess what? The pilot's going to put it into automatic flight mode and you're going to land in New York City. But what a lot of people don't realize is that on that flight, there are a million things that are happening. There's wind, there's humidity, there's storms that they need to either elevate or get a little bit lower to avoid. All of these things are happening, but they're happening automatically. And it's an amazing system that we've created to get from point A to point B in the air. So what are they doing? They're pivoting, they're adjusting hundreds, thousands, millions of times in the air imperceptibly. But guess what? If we had taken off and the wind had just pushed us 1%, just 1% off course, after 3,000 miles, we'd be in the Atlantic Ocean. Like we'd be that far off. Like it would be that insane. So what people need to realize with goals, that's what it is. A goal is an anchor for you. It is that thing that you see in the future that you are guiding towards, knowing that from point A to point B being the end, the anchor, your goal, you are going to be hit with the waves, the storms, the winds of life. And that's okay. You're going to be thrown off course multiple times. But because of that anchor that you have, that point B in the future, and for the Freedom Journal, that's the 100th day, because you have that end goal, you're going to be making adjustments, pivots along the way. You're going to be being held accountable. And we can kind of even get into some more of the specifics about the actual tools that I have in place within the Freedom Journal to make sure that you are completely aware and intentional about the steps you're taking. But again, to kind of sum up what, I think the main point of your question is about, why is a goal important and what exactly is a goal? It is that future anchor point that we just continue to need to point our ship towards, our airplane towards, as we're moving forward in that direction to really accomplish something that matters in this life.
Yes. And I want to talk more about some of the tools in the journal. But first, I want to share, and I've talked about this many times on this show, some of the science behind what he's talking about, because it's very real, very tangible. Certain parts of our brain, the reticular cortex, reticular activating system, and you just go to Dr. Google and start to search around and see what's going on in your head, actually. And these parts of your brain are sort of like a built-in heat-seeking missile servo mechanism. whatever is front of mind, whatever is the thing that's most dominant in your consciousness, your brain is constantly looking for things to affirm that thing. You know, so this is why we've all had the phenomenon of getting a new car and then we start to see that car everywhere. You know, this new car is top of mind. So now it's like your brain is scanning and finding these things that affirm or kind of go in parallel with the thing that you already know, right? And same thing, you know, if a lady gets a new bag, she'll start to see other people with that bag. You know, this happens so many times in so many different areas of our life, something that we start to pay attention to, you know, like when my wife and I were having our son, you know, I start seeing pregnant people everywhere. It's like, where you guys come from?
Right.
You know, and it's because, and I know people out there that have had kids, they know this same phenomenon. And this is what happens when you set a clear, specific goal, is that your brain is automatically seeking out things to help to kind of affirm that and to let you know in a way that you're on the right track and look for things to help to affirm and give that new goal or belief real legs. So
what seems to be happening with that, and I don't know the science, Shawn, but it seems that it makes your mind and your capability more precise and succinct. It brings it into a sharper point of focus.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I kept seeing that number 2:22, the time on the clock? So I saw it once, and then all of a sudden the next day I saw it, and then I just kept landing on that. And it reminded me of Mr. Miyagi catching the fly. I'm like, how is it I'm catching this time at the same time every time? And then I see that as the brain filling in, the mind filling in the spaces to be that more sharp. It wants to have that definition.
Yeah, it's an evolutionary advantage for us, you know, because for our survival, we need to be able to find and execute on that very thing that we need. Specifically, it's like food. Our whole resource is going to, but the thing is that's different now is we've all got food, you know, here in this kind of advanced society, you know, even if it's a Twinkie, there's something to eat. So it leaves space open to go and manifest and to find other things. And so with that said, when we're talking about executing and accomplishing this goal, John, what are some of the other tools that are in the Freedom Journal that people can look forward to?
So the one area that we really focused on at the beginning was how we start the Freedom Journal with you setting that SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. And so now you have that SMART goal. We are going to, within the Freedom Journal, hold you accountable for those 100 days with this very specific set of tools. So number one, micro goals are critical. You know, again, going back to that plane analogy, you have to be doing checkpoints every step along the way to make sure you're still on the right path. So you're going to get to that right goal and that right destination. So the very first thing you do when you start the Freedom Journal is set your first micro goal. And I've set them up into 10-day sprints. So the very first thing you're going to do is set a 10-day sprint, a 10-day micro goal that is going to, number one, get you going off on the right foot, kind of bursting out of those gates, so to speak. And by the time you get to day 10, you're going to already have a sense of accomplishment just 10 days in, because you will have accomplished the first of 10 micro goals on that plan to your first big overall goal. Now, it's key, and this is different, Shawn, than when you did those 100 goals in 100 days. This is a micro goal that is building towards that one goal. So these aren't different goals. These are micro goals building towards that number one goal. So it's all that 100% focus. So you start with that 10-day sprint. Boom, you're off to the races. Then every single day and every single night, we have a day and a night task list where you go down. And I'm a big person with affirmations, Shawn. So we start every day with an affirmation, like I am grateful for. And then we move into the day. Like, what's my number one focus for the day? How am I going to accomplish this focus? What's my daily action plans? Like, the day is so structured and so complete. It will take you between 5 to 10 minutes to fill out. But taking that 5 to 10 minutes to fill your day out is going to set the rest of your day up to be so much more effective and efficient. It's mind-blowing. And something that so few people do that's sad, and I hear you talk about this on the show a lot, is actually taking some time at the end of the day to just review, to relax, and to appreciate what you've done. Yeah. So every night, I want to start people off by saying, hey, what are 2 wonderful things that happened today? So let's just reflect upon that. And then I do go into, hey, what are 2 things that you struggled with? Because we don't want to just hide from our struggles. We need to improve those. And that's where the next section is, which is, okay, how are you going to improve those struggles? You know, and then we kind of go back into some reflections, and then, you know, what is your action plan for tomorrow? Because if you go to bed at night with an action plan for tomorrow, you are much more likely to wake up and say, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I can get out of bed, start my day, get my workout in, eat something healthy, take my inner bath, Shawn, as you like to say, and hydrate. And and then I can sit down and I know what I'm doing today because I set it up properly last night, which is so huge and important. And the last and really major goal that we have implemented beyond those 10-day sprints and just the day-to-day that we have is every 25 days we do what's called a quarterly review. So you're going to be doing 3 of these throughout your 100 days. At day 25, 50, and 75, I've set up a very specific 2 pages of going over your prior 25 days. That's kind of looking behind you and saying, hey, what worked? What didn't work? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to pivot on to make sure that I continue on this right path? So it's more of a reflection where the sprints are more of the going forward. And then, of course, the day-to-day, they just keep you grounded towards that 100th day goal.
Yes, John. I'm curious because it sounds like you'll be running this goal like a successful business.
Yeah.
So why is the quarterly review so important?
So the quarterly review is key because so many people are only looking forward. And it's important to look forward, but not to only look forward. So few times do we actually sit and review back what we've done so that when we are going forward, we can say, hey, we just did a quarterly review. We went over the last 25 days and X, Y, and Z aren't working. So why are we still doing those things going forward? Because unless you take the time to actually go back and review it, you're not going to know. And in the Army, we actually call this an AAR, an after action review. And it's critical because, back in the day, the Army found that they just kept making the same mistakes over and over again. They were taking action, they were charging, the bunker, and they were doing the thing, but then they weren't actually taking the time to say, hey, maybe if we had flanked instead of went straight ahead, like that might have worked better. Just like, a random example, but that's what that quarterly review is. It's an after action review. And then you can take that after action review and implement it going forward with your 10-day sprints. And then, of course, the next 25 days. So hopefully for your next review, you're finding other things, not the same things repeating that you can improve upon.
Wow. Love it, man.
Goes to that keyword pivot, which is a real powerful entrepreneurial startup business term. Pivot, you still have a foot in place and grounded. You're adjusting to better leverage your response, but you're going to keep that foot grounded as opposed to picking up and changing course.
Yes.
You're still sticking to that original idea.
Yes.
Love
Change
that.
the plan, but never the goal.
Right.
And so, John, I'm really curious, just even listening to this and soaking it all in myself is just making me more excited to get started. And really, this was something that's already in process, but now to script this out and to really have this accountability is just, I can really use this right now, because I've got a big vision, And so why this now? Why have this Freedom Journal for people to take advantage of at this point? Why is it so important for you as the man that you are to help other people to accomplish their goals?
I will say it really took me, 1,000+ episodes, now over 1,200, to have this aha moment, to make this realization that it was the setting and accomplishing of goals that all of my guests had as a commonality that so many of my listeners were struggling with. So it really took me putting in the time, having the conversations, living in this world to see that this is such a critical factor. And if I can create something that's beautiful, that's physical, that's there, that people can really get excited about, then they're off to the races with that. So that was really the reason. It was of the really culmination so far of my life's work within EO Fire, which has now been going for about 3.5 years. So that is really the answer to that. And another reason is because I've been thinking a lot about legacy recently.
Yeah.
And my grandfather passed away when he was 47 years old. So many years before I was even born, he passed away. And when I was thinking about goals and journaling and legacy and things like that, I was thinking, man, it was amazing. And it still is to this day. It's amazing to hear my father and my grandmother, who's still alive, tell stories about him. That's super cool because he was my grandfather. I mean, he came down from Canada. He had to make it, as in this crazy industry for a while of logging. I mean, he was a guy that really made the stake for my family in the US. And I just really feel like I love hearing stories about him. But how cool would it be, Shawn, for me to be able to open up a freedom journal of sorts that my grandfather had actually, in his own words, spent 100 days setting and accomplishing a number one goal. Maybe it was opening up the first shop that he ever opened up, which was a butcher shop. Maybe it was something along those lines. And to be able to read in his words, in his handwriting, his hopes, his dreams. So for a lot of us, like, it seems corny a little bit sometimes to like be writing things down and like be journaling and stuff in some ways. But believe me, like, your generations that are becoming after you, they're going to look at this as something that's priceless. I mean, I would just give almost anything to be able to read even one page of a freedom journal from my grandfather, let alone a whole 100 days. So that was something that really, really excited me when I kind of thought about the freedom journal. And that's actually why I decided to make it incredibly meaningful as well. Like, I just didn't want the Freedom Journal to become another revenue source for EO Fire. I mean, we've been a 7-figure a year business financially for multiple years now. 2016 will be no different. I mean, we're a very financially successful business, and this isn't meant just to add another revenue stream. So I said, how can I continue to add to this legacy that I'm looking to build with EO Fire and with Fire Nation? So we've actually partnered with Pencils of Promise. And they're an amazing charity. And what Pencils of Promise does is they actually build schools in developing countries. And I actually wrote a check for $25,000 in 2015. And I built a school in Ghana, which I'm going to be going to visit later this year. Like, this is something that I'm really inspired by. And, unfortunately, not everybody in Fire Nation has the opportunity right now to do something like that on that big of a level. So I said, how can I bring them into this? So I partnered with Pencils of Promise, and proceeds from the Freedom Journal are going to be going to Pencils of Promise to be building schools in developing countries. Adam Braun's a good friend of mine. He is the founder of Pencils of Promise. We're looking to build 3, 4, 5, 6 schools in 2016 and beyond on behalf of Fire Nation through the Freedom Journal. So it was all of these things that kind of just made me realize that now's the time. They made me invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in the production, printing 20,000 copies of this. I mean, Shawn, this is a beast of a book. I got 20,000 of these printed. That's 3 million pages were printed, shipped over to the US at a very high expense, because I know that this is the right book and this is the legacy that I want to start building and growing upon within EO Fire. So I kind of like to say, to your listeners that, number one, you're able to give yourself the gift of accomplishing your number one goal in 100 days, which is an amazing gift. But number two, you're also able to give the gift of education to those less fortunate at the exact same time. So that's something that I'm really inspired by.
Love it, man. I love it. And bringing up legacy, just even hearing that story, just imagine everybody listening right now, our lives are on the main stage. And our grandkids really are going to be able to go back and track and look at some of the things that their grandparents were up to. And so, I know some of the stuff could be a little funny, with some stuff, when it boils down to it, what legacy are you leaving for them, and what messages are you leaving? And really, I think it's so important that we show our generations that are coming behind us what's possible. That's something that really excites me, and doing that for my kids right now. And their paradigm is different, than the average person in society right now. And I want to see that change. And I know John does as well. And that's why he put this together, to really be a catalyst for change. And by the way, so he mentioned Scooter Braun and Pencils of Promise. I'm sorry, Adam Braun, who is Scooter Braun's brother. Mm-hmm. And so Scooter Braun, people might know he's the guy who discovered Justin Bieber. So we're talking about a family, like a litany of really successful people and a really sharp business mind, including John, of being able to execute on things. These are the people we want to listen to. These are the people we want to follow in their footsteps, because John's putting it all out there for you to just, I started from nothing. I had zero audience to a multi-million-dollar business. Yeah. And his team, like, it's just really him and Kate, and then they've got a couple of employees. It's so amazing what can be what can happen right now. But the core thing about John is he's giving so much value. Mm-hmm. And that's what I know, everybody that you're listening right now, you want to give. You want to give your gifts and share it. And so, John, can you let everybody, so how do we get the Freedom Journal? Let us know.
So January 4th is the date that the Kickstarter campaign launches, which is today, if you're listening when this episode goes live. But if you're listening a little bit afterwards, that's totally cool as well, because that's the beauty of podcasting. It's on-demand audio. The campaign is running for 33 days, so until February 5th. So for those 33 days for the Kickstarter campaign, you can go to thefreedomjournal.com. That'll take you right to the Kickstarter page during those 33 days. And we've done some really cool things there, Shawn. We have 35 different reward levels, kind of a sneak peek at one. I have 60 of these available where if you claim this reward, you'll obviously get a Freedom Journal and you'll set and accomplish your number one goal in 100 days. And then I'm going to bring you on EO Fire to talk about that. So I'm going to be doing that for 60 individuals. That's just one of the 35 rewards that we have. And we have 34 other killer ones. So jump on over to thefreedomjournal.com, find the reward level that's right for you. We have a great video there too that kind of goes into more depth about the Freedom Journal and Pencils of Promise and some great stuff over there. And if you listen to this after February 5th, that's totally cool. Thefreedomjournal.com will just direct you to the page where you can check out the story of the Freedom Journal, purchase it right from either Amazon or my Shopify cart that's right there, and you'll get it delivered to your doorstep as well. And this is international, so it doesn't matter where you are. This will be at your doorstep with a pretty easy click of the button. So thefreedomjournal.com.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. And everybody, will link everything up in the show notes. I hope that you got a lot of value out of this. And John, I just want to say thank you so much for putting the time and energy into being who you are. I love you, man. I love what you're about. And I just want to see you just keep crushing it, man. It's so inspiring to me personally. So thank you, man.
Well, I love you both. So thank you as well for the opportunity. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.
Absolutely. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. I know that I did. And this is time to take action. You know, the Freedom Journal, I love the premise behind it. You know, ultimately, when we keep peeling back the layers, it's really about freedom and having the freedom to do what you're here to do, to be who you want to be, and to live full out, you know, because this is your opportunity to do that. So it's time to take off the training wheels, get on the big boy or big girl bike, and really start making things happen. And this is one of the tools that you can use to make that happen. And I appreciate you so much. Make this year your best year yet. 2016 is yours. Let's go. Take care. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.